Namaste and welcome to our seventh session. Yesterday we spoke about contemplation, and I got a few questions. I got a few inquiries about a few things about contemplation. So, in today's session, what I thought was I'll try to explain contemplation in a much more practical way. So, we'll dwell a little bit more on contemplation, and then I will actually do a guided exercise which will actually be a little bit more practical on using contemplation in our daily life for working with our own emotions and thoughts. So let us see how this goes. So the first thing I want to clarify here is based on one of the question that came on when we're doing contemplation, what are we actually looking for? So this is a point that I want to explain more from the view that I teach based on the contemplation that I teach. Because traditionally, there is contemplation used in teachings such as Vedanta, wherein it is referred to as Mananam. And there it is referred in that sense of Mananam on using something that you studied or using some scriptural teaching, which you kind of try to go deeper on that and think deeply about that. But from the perspective of contemplative teachings itself, that kind of contemplation is still what is called conceptual thinking. In other words, we are using certain informative thoughts and not something which is in a direct experience. So, the kind of contemplation that I'm referring to is more of what you can say as vichara in Sanskrit. And this is again based not so much on what is called as the Atma Vichara, but this is actually the Vichara into your own experiences, onto that things that we are actually cognizant about, not something that is not something which is not heard of, not thought of, but it's ever there as it is explained of ourself. That is not the kind of vichara that we are doing. I want to illustrate that with a small example. And because yesterday I spoke about this is based on one more question I received. What is it we are doing when we are turning inward? Because I referred to this approach of from looking outward to looking inward, right? So I'm going to give a little example here. Now, this is like a flashlight or a kind of a torch, you can say. If I put this outwardly, this is how my view is on the world. Like I'm seeing outwardly, I'm seeing objects. So my light of my attention, my mind's attention is actually focused outwardly. I'm looking outward. Now, when we talk about looking inward, it might actually seem that we are talking about like I'm just looking directly into that, right? I'm turning my attention completely into something deep or inner side within me. So somebody explained like there is like a complete blackout kind of experience. Some people go through stages when you do this. Like you actually kind of may have like this blackout where you don't understand what is happening because at that point the conceptual mind kind of completely kind of wraps up and you don't kind of you don't have a reference to what you're looking at. But some people go through stages. For some, it may be a slow dawning of some peace because that filter, that constant thinking mind drops. Or for some, it might be a feeling of some presence, some divine presence or deeper presence. For some others, it might just be like a sense of clarity that there is some other deeper seeing, right? But however, when I mentioned yesterday that we are actually looking inward, because I haven't gone through a complete set of instructions. This is just the initial stages where I'm just giving a little taste. Each one has to practice this further. And so I'm hoping that those who actually see these videos will actually either with me or through our continued sessions practice or through some guidance, take each of this and practice deeper because then only it becomes reality to you and meaningful. But I nevertheless want to give you an overview of how this whole thing unfolds. So again, coming back to our illustration, let us say that we are generally used to looking outward. We are looking out with this, our focus of our attention guided inward. When we do contemplation, I'm not turning this race from outward to inward directly. That is not what I'm recommending. What I'm actually asking as a first step is that we gently turn our attention slowly inward. And as a result, we see this filter that stays in between me and my perception of the world outside. So, and what that is our filter of mental state that blurs everything. To explain this further, whatever object or situation or person you come in your life is actually quite neutral. And you might have heard this before. The reality is that that same person who I might find very interesting might be boring to somebody else. The same person who irritates me might be a very loving person to somebody else. So, so it is really based on our mental state that we relate to some object, situation, and person in our daily life. And so taking it further, it is actually what is we are doing in this sense is more than actually even just looking inward. We are actually looking from top. You can actually kind of see what is the situation from a objective view, the third person view of the situation. So by turning a little inward, not like completely absorbed into some inner deep meditative state, that is not what we are doing with contemplation at least. We're just turning the attention enough so we have an objective view of what is the state through which I'm looking out at the world, because that colors my experience of the world. So, to give this a little further thing, I want to actually lead us into that guided practice. But even before I do that guided practice, I want to give a little bit introduction here. What we are doing is at every situation, if, as I said, everything that we experience in our world outside, object, situation, or person, as I commonly call it, we are filled with some sense of what is called as hope or fear, which in Sanskrit is commonly referred to as raga dvesha. So we have a sense of a hope or aspiration, a desire towards something or somebody, or we have a sense of aversion, hatred, or negativity towards that object or certain situation in our life. Now, this is basically because on a lot of internal factors, which I can't go through in a short video. But the way to release them, the way to be free of them, is actually to do this vichara, this inquiry into understanding our mental state that actually has arisen at that point when we come in contact with this person. Because when we actually realize this kind of mental state, then we have a sense of familiarity. If we see this mental state often, we become familiar with that mental state. And then we can actually catch ourselves going into that same trap of again and again. And you can also take this in the form of addictions, for example. People think that they're actually addicted to something, like maybe it is a certain specific food or alcohol or whatever it is. It is not so much the object that actually is attractive to them. They're actually attracted to that certain mental state of joy that what we might actually call in scientific terms as like an adrenaline rush, right? Something that kind of creates an excitement in them. But once you actually catch that excitement mental state, you will see that soon after that excitement mental state, there is actually a drop in that excitement, that mental state, into a more depression mental state. So if you follow this close enough, you will actually see that excitement mental state is no longer as attractive because it is followed by a drop in that. And the next time for you to get excitement is takes even more effort. And so the cycle you actually see pretty fast, and you can quickly release that. Anyway, that's just a broad thing I'm giving, and this same thing you can apply for some anxiety we have or some fear we have over some situation happening in our life. That situation may not be that much important as much as there is some reaction that is going on in our mind, which makes us kind of in in this anxious and fearful mental state. So if we get familiar with that, if we see this kind of same repetitive track that is playing and how it actually pans out without really fulfilling what it is promising us, we will actually quickly realize that what we have to work with is not so much what is out there, but what is actually happening in here. And then when we are much more closer to be free from both the sense of hope and fear, or ragadvesha. So, having said that, I want us to do this short guided practice to just briefly introduce. And again, as I mentioned, you have to make an effort to practice it, and you have to make an effort to also get some guidance on that. That's when these practices actually fulfills you, or it reaches the fulfillment and gives you that sense of freedom. Nevertheless, even just hearing this, getting even at least a little understanding is very good to start with. So the more you can tune into this, the more you can hear this, the more you can absorb this, the better. Okay, so let us start today's practice, this guided practice, where in this practice, I'm going to ask you to call upon some kind of positive or desireful emotion that you may have repetitively in your life. Don't take up something which is too big. Take up something which is small, like like maybe you love watching cricket, or you are excited about your usual morning cup of coffee, or something like that. Something small. And something negative, like say some person or irritates you every morning, or if somebody like if you're driving and somebody cuts you, you get irritated. So take something small like that too, and then recall that experience from your memory, and try to actually look upon that mental state. And in this perspective, I will actually ask you also to do this practice of resting in awareness, which we did before, where I will drop my arms and then you completely release that thought and just maintain a sense of awareness. And while maintaining the sense of awareness, you can actually focus on your breath if necessary. So those are just the broad instructions. You don't have to remember every little detail. As I said again, the more you practice, the more things becomes clear for you. So just go by how much ever you can follow, and step by step we will get there. Okay. All right. So let us start again. So this time I'm going to actually ask you to do this practice of taking in that just the breathing, and exhale quickly. Exhale or not naturally, and just towards the end, just push it a little bit. Okay. So breathe in, and as breathe out normally. And when you're completely finished, just force a little bit like that. 3 times. Inhale. And as you exhale, just force a little bit and let go. One more time. And at the last point, just let go. Okay. So this is a good preparation for releasing the negative energy. So we can actually do that with just alternate nostril breathing again. So using the thumb and the ring finger, you can breathe in from one nose, hold that, and then exhale through that other nose. And towards the last point, you can just push a little bit. Inhale, hold, and through the last point, just push a little bit. Inhale. As you exhale normally, So what this does is this helps us to energetically clear out any kind of emotions we may be holding, and prepares us to go into that contemplation mode. So let us do the body scan today. We will start with the top of the head. And the first part is we will do the scan and release any tension we feel in the body. And if you need, you can gently also tense that body part where you may feel any tension and relax. So starting with the top of the head, just become aware of any tension and relax, let go. The forehead area, the nose, the eyes, the mouth, the face, back of the head, the neck area, shoulders, arms, chest, shoulder blades, lower back, stomach, abdomen, lower part of the body, thighs, knees, ankles, feet. Just feel that all the negativity and tension is just loosening up by just bringing your awareness. Now, same thing. This time we try to do the mental relaxation by bringing awareness into our body and mentally accepting whatever be the sensations you feel, tightness, looseness, pain, good feeling, whatever it is, we just relax with that mentally and accept it. So you can start from the top of the head, the face, any tension, negativity, just relax and allow it to be whatever it is. The neck, the back of the neck, chest, upper arms, lower arms, all the way down to the finger and fingertips. Feel any sensation there, become aware, but do not react and accept whatever it is as it is. See it just as objectively as you would look at some object, such as a book, a phone, or anything. Your body becomes an object. So continue on with the chest, stomach, back, lower back, the point where the buttocks touch the seat. Become aware of any sensation and accept whatever it is. Your thighs, your knees, and your feet. Just relax and sink into the ground and allow the sensations to be whatever it is. Now just get an energetic feel of that body and just relax and just rest in awareness at this point. Become aware of whatever your body sensations are. Just a general feeling of all over your body. Maintain that as a support for your awareness and rest with that. Do not try to change anything. Do not try to reject anything and just stay with whatever your experience is. Rest in that awareness. Be at peace with this present moment just as it is. Now, gently Think of something that irritates you or bothers you or causes some minor anxiety in your daily life. And as we did yesterday, as we become aware of this thought, we actually try to just turn our attention a little inward to kind of turn attention away from that object, person, or situation which causes that stress for us to a kind of feeling or a state of mind. See if you can do it to kind of just see what state of mind you are in. See if you can get some kind of a flavor, a taste, a shape, or some form, like a mental image of how you look like maybe when you're in that state. And kind of see it as an objective thing that because you're not always in that state, right? It just comes and goes. That state essentially is not the essence of who you are 24 hours. Maybe it's like that for like 1 second or 1 minute or 1 hour or at the max. So it is just an objective phase that comes and goes. So once again, try to direct your attention outward to that object or person or situation that bothers you. And then quickly turn inward a little bit, slightly, to see and feel that mental state. And then try to bring in a little bit wisdom and understanding to ask yourself, does this mental state define who I am? Am I this mental state all the time? Okay, so now just rest yourself in awareness. You can open your eyes a little bit, look up, relax, and just open up to whatever you're experiencing and completely be in the here and now, letting go of all past thoughts and past feelings. So now once more, just close your eyes and let us try this time with bringing our attention to something that excites us, somebody that um, we get excited about, or some situation in our life that we are um, happy about. So, first look at that object or bring to your mind that object, person, or situation. And then try to just gently look inwardly to see yourself experiencing it. What is the mental state you experience when you experience that object or person? Try to give itself some shape, form, taste, flavor. And now ask yourself, does this stay with me all the time? Does this mental state define who I am? Once again, take a deep breath and gently drop all those thoughts and feelings. You can open your eyes and look up and stay in awareness. Rest with complete awareness to whatever you're experiencing in visual field, your listening, your body, your thoughts. Just allow everything to be as it is, but don't get carried away by anything. Let everything come, acknowledge it, but don't get carried away with anything. So, one last time, close your eyes. And this time, bring your attention to the center of the chest, the heart space. Place your attention there. You can say a prayer of gratitude for whatever understanding, whatever blessing, whatever positive state that you were able to experience, and feel that connection to something deeper in that heart space. And stay centered in that space for now. And then you can finish. You can rub your hands and wipe your face. So, that in general was a practical kind of attempt I made to introduce contemplation, how you can apply in your life. Now, this in nutshell, once you get it by doing it formally, you can actually apply it informally in your daily life as well on a moment to moment basis. So when situations come, when you are caught up with some situations like anger, anxiety, addictions, or even when you're extremely overexcited about certain things, you can actually kind of do this thing of just turning slightly inward to feel yourself experiencing that object. And the more you become familiar with that, the more you become acquainted with that, and understand it from a broader perspective on where that is leading you to, you will be able to quickly drop it if it is a negative mental state. And that is how we get the sense of mental freedom. When we do this kind of inquiry, when we are able to do this kind of vichara, then we are ready to do what is called as Atma Vichara, a deeper sense of knowing of our true selves or the true being of divine self. So, but for that, this is what the contemplation actually kind of helps. It helps us to clear this filter in between us, the real us, and our objective experience of the world, the colored objective experience of the world. So try it out also in your daily life and in your practice. And until tomorrow, and we will do one more session tomorrow to sum up some of these points. So, namaste. Have a good night. Shubhratri.